Chapter 1 Welcome to Nowhere. Hey, I'm Percy Yokog, and if you're reading this, you've probably just opened a door into a world stitched together from nightmares and fairy tales, with a twist of modern-day slice-of-life confusion. The kind of world where the question, "Where do I belong?" echoes louder than anything else. You probably don't understand it. Well, I lived it, and neither did I. But I guess that's the point of this whole thing, isn't it? We're all figuring it out as we go. And if you're looking for answers, well, you'll just have to read my story as I retell it to you. I'd like to tell you that I've had a normal life, one filled with typical teenage problems, like not getting enough Wi-Fi or being late for class. But that's not my story. I've just moved to a place that doesn't seem to fit on any map. The kind of place where everything is a little off. Imagine living in a town that feels like it was built overnight, only to realize that it wasn't built for anyone like me. Or you. And definitely not for people who ask too many questions. The people here are different. And no, I'm not talking about the typical weirdos in high school. I'm talking about monsters, magic, and the kind of creatures that you'd only expect to find in a nightmare or a very bad daydream. I'd tell you more, but I haven't even wrapped my head around it yet. So, buckle up. If you're still with me, I guess it's time to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. It hadn't even been a full 24 hours since moving into our new home, and the house still smelled of fresh paint and sawdust. My room was a chaotic mess, cardboard boxes stacked in uneven piles, half-torn packing tape dangling from the edges like forgotten streamers. We'd moved in just last night, and I hadn't even started unpacking. Not that I could, considering the power had gone out overnight, leaving me fumbling through a minefield of boxes to find my clothes. I sat on the edge of my bed, groggy and rubbing my eyes. The mattress creaked under me as I glared at my useless alarm clock. The thing had blinked 12 at me, like it was mocking my attempt to start the day on time. My phone wasn't any help either. It had died 2 days before the move, and I still hadn't gotten around to replacing it. Even if I wanted to scroll for updates, my computer wasn't set up yet. I was completely cut off. Mom had practically dragged us here on short notice, thanks to some too-good-to-be-true job offer at the brand new hospital in town. The pay bump was insane, enough to have her packing our lives into boxes without asking why the job was so urgent, or why this town had popped up out of nowhere like a mirage in the desert. From what little I'd gathered, most of the families who moved here didn't ask too many questions either. A paycheck that big didn't leave room for skepticism, apparently. Still, something about this place gnawed at me. The town looked like it had been rebuilt in a rush, every building shiny and new, but with the soulless precision of a movie set, flawless on the outside, but hollow behind the curtains. It was like someone had copied a real town from memory, forgetting the warmth that made it feel alive. I slung my backpack over one shoulder and headed out the front door. The morning air was cool and damp, carrying the faint smell of wet leaves and something metallic. As I jogged toward the bus stop, my thoughts lingered on the bizarre nature of this place. Everything felt just off. The stop was tucked away in a strange part of town, secluded, foggy, and weirdly quiet for the morning rush. A single street lamp buzzed overhead, its weak light barely piercing the haze. I slowed down, staring at the spot. Why would they put a bus stop here of all places? I muttered, half expecting an answer from the swirling mist. A distant rumble broke the silence, followed by the screech of brakes. The bus rolled into view, a battered behemoth of steel with a windshield that was somehow both cracked and smeared with something red. As it lurched to a stop, I noticed the claw marks gouged deep into the side panels and the bite marks lining the metal like someone had been snacking on it. What in the hell is this bus? I whispered, frozen at the sight. The doors groaned open, revealing the shadowy outline of the driver. I squinted, trying to make out any details, but no matter how I looked, all I could see was a vague silhouette. The shape seemed humanoid, but it was impossible to tell for sure. Occasionally, the edges of his figure shimmered, like static caught in the corner of my vision, never quite holding still. "Come on, kid, get in," came the driver's voice, a low rasp that felt like a whisper directly in my ear, even though he hadn't moved from his seat. I hesitated, my feet glued to the ground. My instincts screamed at me to turn around and run. A sharp voice startled me from behind. What's the holdup? I turned to see a boy about my age, leaning casually against the rusted sign marking the stop. He had shaggy hair and a confident smirk that somehow felt both reassuring and unnerving. He nodded toward the bus and added, "Yeah, it's creepy, but you don't want to miss your first day, right?" Before I could respond, he stepped forward, brushing past me and hopping onto the bus. He glanced back over his shoulder and gestured for me to follow. "Come on, don't overthink it." Swallowing my fear, I climbed the steps and scanned the interior. The seats on one side were shredded, with gaping holes exposing springs and stuffing. Deep claw marks trailed along the walls, and the air reeked of rot. My stomach churned as I noticed glowing eyes staring at me from the shadows. Creatures filled the seats, some clearly not human. A vampire reading a novel with an ornate silver bookmark, a zombie drooling onto its hoodie while absently scrolling through a shattered phone, a werewolf scratching at its fur with claws that looked more like obsidian daggers. A gelatinous blob quivered silently in the corner, faintly glowing with trapped wisps of light. Shadowy ghosts drifted lazily above the seats like tethered fog, while a demon with horns made of molten glass flipped through a flaming newspaper. I even spotted a kappa sipping from a water bottle on its head, and what might have been a kitsune, its many tails flickering in and out of sight like static. An old, leathery sphinx muttered riddles into a worn crossword puzzle, and something that looked suspiciously like a wendigo stared at the ceiling, unmoving. My breath caught, heart hammering against my ribs, and I silently begged to wake from what had to be a nightmare. About halfway through the ride, the bus halted abruptly. A girl with fiery red hair climbed aboard, her sharp green eyes scanning the rows. She looked human, but something about her carried an intensity I couldn't place, like the weight of secrets wrapped in silence. Her gaze lingered on the shadows just a moment too long, and for a second, I thought I saw her pupils slit like a cat's before she blinked, and it was gone. As she walked down the aisle, her eyes flicked to me. Not long, just a second, but it was enough to leave a chill in my spine. Then she sat near the middle, headphones on and hood pulled up, clearly trying to vanish into her own space. "Who's that?" I whispered to him, who had dropped into a seat at the back and was patting the spot beside him. "Autumn," he replied, leaning back with a knowing smirk. "You'll meet her soon enough." Still shaken, I sat down beside him, my hands gripping the seat. He leaned back, grinning. "Name's Jason, by the way." "Percy," I muttered, barely managing to form the words. The bus moved forward, taking me deeper into a world I was increasingly sure I didn't want to understand. Somehow, I doubted I'd ever get used to any of this. Without warning, the bus slammed to a stop so abruptly that I was nearly launched out of my seat. Crash! The sound of shattering glass filled the air, a perfect punctuation mark for the chaos I was still trying to pretend wasn't real. My brain scrambled to file what just happened under anything remotely normal and failed miserably, as a massive, frog-like demon went flying through the windshield. One moment it was perched on a seat near the front, the next it was flailing wildly, propelled out onto the pavement. It landed in a heap, right at the feet of a crocodile-headed student waiting outside. "Watch where you're launching yourself, Hopper," the crocodile head growled, shoving the dazed frog demon away like it was an overgrown nuisance. Jason burst into laughter. "Perfect 10. Stick the landing next time, Hopper." I sat frozen, my knuckles white as I gripped my backpack. My gaze darted to the other passengers, creatures straight out of a horror movie, who barely reacted to the scene. The girl with red hair, Autumn, stepped off the bus without a second glance, her headphones still on, completely unfazed by the chaos. Jason clapped a hand on my shoulder as he passed, still laughing. "Relax, Percy," he said, his voice maddeningly calm. "You'll get used to it, eventually." Somehow, I seriously doubted that. Chapter 2. First Impressions. The school loomed ahead, its Gothic spires clawing at the overcast sky, while sleek metallic accents shimmered like the bones of some forgotten beast. It looked less like a place of learning, and more like something conjured from the fevered dream of a haunted architect. A crow cawed from one of the upper spires, then vanished into the mist, leaving only the echo behind. Thick ivy climbed the stone walls, curling around the ironwork that lined the windows like veins pulsing with hidden intent. The doors were massive, carved with intricate patterns that seemed to shift subtly if I stared too long. I hesitated just outside the entrance, gripping my backpack straps as though they could shield me from whatever insanity waited within. Jason had vanished the second we stepped off the bus, leaving me stranded without so much as a casual, "Good luck." Typical. "It's just a school," I muttered under my breath, trying to reassure myself. It can't be worse than the bus ride. I was wrong. "Hi." The voice was soft, almost hesitant, but it stopped me instantly in my tracks. Turning slowly, I saw her standing a few feet away, partially hidden in the shadow of the towering arches that framed the school's facade. She had strikingly pale skin that contrasted starkly with her jet black hair cascading over slender shoulders. Her eyes gleamed deep crimson in the dim, filtered sunlight, holding an intensity I couldn't quite place. For a moment, I wondered if exhaustion had conjured her from my imagination. Hi," I replied, trying to mask how startled I felt. She took a tentative step forward, moving with a grace that was both elegant and strangely awkward, as though close interactions weren't her strong suit. Her crimson gaze briefly met mine before flicking downward, studying the worn stone tiles beneath our feet as she fidgeted slightly. "You're new," she said, her voice quiet but steady, as if making a careful observation. "Yeah," I answered cautiously. "First day." She nodded slowly, still fidgeting nervously with the hem of her jacket. But something about her stillness between movements, the unnatural calm in her posture, or the way her eyes lingered a second too long, made my skin crawl in a way I couldn't quite explain. "I thought so. You're different." My stomach tightened slightly at her words. "Different how?" Her eyes lifted again, briefly locking onto mine, a subtle intensity flaring within their depths. "You're human. A true human. I've never actually met one before." "Okay," I replied, gripping my backpack straps tighter as if that would somehow protect me. "That's interesting." Her expression shifted subtly, curiosity mingling with something else, something deeper, almost hungry. "You smell nice?" she blurted out abruptly, before immediately wincing and shaking her head. "No, that's not. I mean, you're unique. Sorry, that came out wrong." "Right," I said slowly, cautiously stepping backward, heart thudding in my chest. "Thanks?" She bit her lip nervously, cheeks flushing faintly pink. "Can I ask you something?" My instincts screamed caution, but curiosity got the better of me. "Sure." She hesitated, fidgeting again, clearly struggling with her words. Finally, she took a shaky breath and asked, "Can I taste your blood?" The question slammed into me like a physical blow. "What?" She quickly raised her hands defensively, panic flashing across her face. My mind scrambled to make sense of the moment, leaping from vampire jokes I'd seen online to absurd theories about blood cults. Was this just how things worked here? Or had I already become the punchline in some interspecies reality show? "I'm sorry. That was too blunt. I didn't mean, it's just, I've never met a true human, and your scent, it's fascinating. I promise I wouldn't hurt you. Just a little?" "No," I blurted, instinctively backing away further. "Absolutely not." Her shoulders slumped visibly, disappointment clouding her features. "I'm really sorry," she whispered, eyes cast downward again. "I'm not very good at this." "At what exactly?" I asked, still wary. "Talking to humans," she admitted softly, embarrassment coloring her voice. "Most people here already know what I am. I don't have to explain myself much. I guess I'm not used to normal conversations." Despite everything, her awkward sincerity was strangely disarming, almost endearing, even considering the bizarre request she just made. "Look, it's okay," I finally said, voice softer. "Just no blood tasting, all right?" She nodded quickly, eyes wide and earnest. "Of course. I'm sorry again. It's just, you're different, even for a human. There's something unique about you." I raised an eyebrow, not sure whether to feel flattered or uneasy. Thanks, I think." She hesitated again, shifting her weight nervously. "Maybe we could be friends?" The question caught me off guard completely. "Friends?" She nodded vigorously, a hopeful smile flickering at the corners of her mouth. "Not now." I realized this was a weird introduction, but eventually, I think we'd get along well. For a long moment, I stared at her, processing everything that had just happened. Finally, glancing toward the intimidating school doors looming nearby, I sighed. "Look, I've got first day stuff to figure out, but maybe later?" Her expression lit up immediately, and she nodded enthusiastically. "Later, definitely." Turning toward the entrance, I paused when she softly called after me, "Hey?" I glanced back over my shoulder. "Yeah?" She fumbled slightly with her words, her cheeks turning a delicate shade of pink again. "I like your style," she stammered awkwardly, then quickly grimaced and shook her head. "Wait, no, that's not. I didn't mean it like." I cut her off with a nervous, slightly amused laugh. "It's fine. See you around." Her eyes widened slightly, relief washing over her features. "Yeah, see you around." Stepping inside the school, I leaned heavily against the cool stone wall, releasing a shaky breath. The interaction had left me more rattled than I'd anticipated. If this was what the first 5 minutes were like, I dreaded the rest of the day. The hallway stretched ahead, dimly lit by sconces flickering with a faint, eerie glow. Students filled the corridor, moving with unnatural grace or lumbering awkwardly, their true forms hinted at beneath careful disguises or openly displayed with unapologetic pride. My heart thudded painfully against my ribs as the surreal reality fully sank in. I was genuinely surrounded by monsters. As I navigated cautiously down the crowded hall, weaving between a towering oni with blue skin and tusks, a banshee whose veil shimmered like morning fog, and a creature that looked suspiciously like a living marionette, its wooden joints creaking with every step. A tatsel worm slithered past my shoes, unnoticed by most, while a redcap with blood-stained boots cackled softly in a darkened corner. I passed a hulking knuckleavy oozing seawater as it trudged along, a selkie girl whose coat dripped ocean spray as she chatted with a skeletal figure in a hoodie, and what might have been a domovoi riding in a student's open backpack. Every step deepened the sense that I'd stumbled into an uncanny menagerie where folklore had punched reality in the face and taken its place. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I squared my shoulders. If I was going to survive this school, I had to at least pretend I wasn't terrified. But one thought lingered stubbornly in the back of my mind. What exactly had I gotten myself into? Chapter 3: Autumn's Chill. The halls of Mystic High stretched before me, a strange blend of Gothic elegance and futuristic technology. Dim, flickering lights cast elongated shadows along walls adorned with ornate stonework and gleaming metallic panels etched with shifting symbols, like the walls themselves were trying to whisper secrets just out of reach. The air felt oddly heavy, like an unseen force pressing down with every hesitant step I took. I clutched my crumpled schedule tightly, my eyes darting anxiously to each shadowy corner. Monsters, creatures I'd only ever imagined in movies and stories, filled the hallways, their presence both fascinating and terrifying. Some spoke in hushed whispers, leaning casually against lockers with a predatory grace, while others lurked silently, their glowing eyes following my every move. Most humans hurried by, avoiding eye contact as if their lives depended on it, and perhaps they did. I noticed a few monsters wore clothing marked with strange, jagged symbols resembling decapitated figures. Those who wore these symbols regarded humans with chilling contempt, their gazes sharp and unwelcoming. "This place is insane," I muttered under my breath, feeling a shiver crawl up my spine. Navigating the seemingly endless corridors was disorienting. The hallways twisted unpredictably, sometimes looping back on themselves or leading to dead ends. Just as my frustration peaked, I finally rounded a corner and spotted an ornate sign reading Principal's Office, written in elegant silver script. Relief flooded through me as I approached the waiting area, where students sat in mismatched chairs lining both sides of the hall. The division was clear: humans on one side, monsters on the other, an invisible yet tangible barrier of tension separating them. At the front of the monster side slumped the familiar figure of the frog-like demon from the bus, Hopper. He was covered in shards of glass, his green skin slick with sweat. He grumbled softly, shifting uncomfortably and murmuring about needing a better seatbelt next time. Sliding cautiously into an empty chair, I glanced nervously at the person next to me, a girl with fiery red hair cascading from beneath her pulled-up hood. She lounged casually, her sharp green eyes locked onto her phone screen, completely absorbed. "Oh, it's you again," she said suddenly without looking up. Her voice startled me, taking a moment before I recognized it. Hi," I replied awkwardly. "Didn't expect to see you here." She raised an eyebrow, glancing up briefly. "Do I know you?" "From the bus," I clarified, feeling instantly foolish. Recognition dawned on her face, subtle and indifferent. "Oh, right, the bus. She shrugged, eyes drifting back to her phone. Small school, bound to run into each other eventually. Yeah, I suppose, I mumbled, feeling distinctly out of place. I shifted in my seat, feeling a piercing stare from across the hall, a hulking monster with crimson eyes locked intently on me, making my skin prickle. You okay? Autumn asked, her tone casual yet vaguely concerned. This place is pretty creepy, I admitted quietly, heart thudding. She smirked faintly, eyes never leaving her phone. You're not wrong. Desperate for distraction from the oppressive atmosphere, I pushed myself to continue the conversation. Are you new here too? She finally pocketed her phone, leaning back to study me properly. Yeah, Autumn. Autumn best. Percy, I replied, feeling slightly more at ease. Her eyes narrowed slightly, curiosity evident. First day, huh? Is it that obvious? I asked with a nervous laugh. She chuckled softly. Yeah, you've definitely got that what the hell have I gotten myself into look. I smiled weakly. Pretty accurate. As we spoke, I noticed subtle movements beneath her hood, ears twitching gently, and a tail flicking lazily behind her. Wait, a tail? Do you have? I began hesitantly, gesturing awkwardly at her head. Cat ears? Autumn supplied flatly, tugging her hood further down. Yeah, I muttered, face flushing in embarrassment. Yep, she confirmed, her tone matter-of-fact but not unkind. Don't stare. Right, sorry. I quickly apologized. Autumn sighed, a small amused smile returning. Relax, newbie. I'm used to it. I relaxed slightly, still clutching my schedule like a lifeline. The tense silence that followed was abruptly shattered by the crackle of the intercom overhead. Percy Yokog, please report to the principal's office immediately, a distorted voice announced, echoing ominously through the hallway. I guess that's my cue, I sighed, standing nervously. Good luck, Autumn said, not bothering to look up again, amusement dancing in her voice. Thanks, I muttered, taking a deep breath as I approached the intimidating office door. Pausing, I glanced back at Autumn. She'd returned to her phone, her expression unreadable, but something about her lingered with me, a quiet strength beneath her casual demeanor, offering a faint reassurance amid the surrounding chaos. Gathering my courage, I stepped into the office, bracing myself for whatever waited beyond the threshold. Chapter 4: Serpentine Secrets. The principal's office wasn't at all what I expected. It wasn't a small, sterile room cramped with paperwork and office supplies. Instead, it felt like stepping into an ancient library hidden within the heart of a mysterious castle. The cavernous room had impossibly high ceilings that disappeared into shadows, and the walls were lined with towering bookshelves filled with ancient-looking tomes bound in leather and sealed with metal clasps. Dim amber lamps bathed the room in a warm yet unsettling glow, casting flickering shadows that danced along the walls like silent phantoms. At the center sat an enormous wooden desk, intricately carved with scenes of mythical battles and strange creatures locked in eternal conflict. Behind it loomed the principal herself, a striking figure whose presence filled the room effortlessly. Her serpentine lower body, an impressive mass of shimmering purple and bronze scales, coiled gracefully beneath her. Above the waist, she was impeccably dressed in a sharp, dark suit, her slender hands tipped with formidable claws. Her jet-black hair was pulled back into an elegant updo, emphasizing her severe yet captivating features. But her eyes captured my attention, the most piercing violet orbs that glowed faintly with an intensity that made me feel utterly transparent. You're late, she said coolly, her voice a low, measured hiss. I got lost? I stammered, feeling pinned beneath her gaze. She gestured toward the chair in front of her desk. Sit. My legs moved automatically, carrying me to the plush leather chair. As I sank into it, I clutched the arms tightly, the leather creaking beneath my grip. She studied me silently for a long moment, her tail shifting subtly behind the desk as she appraised me. Finally, she spoke again, her voice carefully controlled. I am Miss Desra, headmistress of Mystic High. My role is to maintain order and ensure every student here, no matter their origins, finds their path to success. I nodded quickly, unsure if I was expected to speak. Her gaze sharpened as she leaned forward slightly, claws resting lightly on the desk. You have been granted a rare opportunity, Mr. Yokog. Do not squander it. Miss Desra reached for an object lying neatly on her desk, a sleek black bracelet etched with faintly glowing runes that pulsed gently in rhythm with some hidden energy. "Do you know what this is?" she asked, her voice quiet yet commanding. I shook my head, my mouth too dry to form words. "This," she explained, holding it up for emphasis, "is designed to monitor your mana capacity, spell proficiency, and the integrity of your magical shield. It is provided by certain external benefactors who take a keen interest in Mystic High." I caught the briefest flicker of distaste in her tone when mentioning these benefactors, but it vanished almost immediately. "Extend your arm," she commanded. With a gulp, I obeyed. She snapped the bracelet around my wrist swiftly, and a chill radiated through my arm, making my fingers tingle. Miss Desra glanced at a small holographic display flickering above the bracelet. Immediately, her brow furrowed deeply. "Your mana capacity is alarmingly low," she murmured, genuine concern briefly softening her harsh expression. "Barely sufficient for the simplest of spells." "Is that bad?" I asked, dread pooling in my stomach. "Far from ideal," she responded sharply. Her eyes narrowed as the display flickered erratically, glitching between defensive spells, elemental magic, and incomprehensible runes. "Impossible," she whispered, claws tapping restlessly against the wood. "This bracelet is malfunctioning." "Malfunctioning?" I echoed, my panic rising. "Can it be fixed?" She shook her head, her voice grim. "These bracelets bond permanently to their wearer upon activation. Removal is impossible until death." I felt as though I'd been punched, the realization hitting hard. "So I'm stuck with a broken bracelet forever?" Her lips pressed together into a thin line, and unexpectedly, a trace of empathy flickered across her face. "I wouldn't have chosen this outcome for you, Mr. Yokog, but we must adapt." She leaned back slightly, considering something deeply before continuing. "There exist methods to temporarily boost your mana artificially. However, such methods are not without significant risks. Your safest path forward is intensive training to compensate for your deficiencies." "Training?" I asked hesitantly, barely masking my apprehension. "Mandatory extra gym sessions after regular classes?" Miss Desra stated firmly. "Improving your physical stamina will aid in bolstering your limited magical abilities." "Understood," I managed weakly, the weight of her words settling heavily over my shoulders. For a brief instant, the principal's composed facade cracked as she muttered softly to herself, her violet eyes clouded with sadness. "If only we had received these sooner. Perhaps many could have been saved." I leaned forward, confused. "What did you say?" Her piercing gaze snapped back to me, instantly silencing my curiosity. "It is nothing," she dismissed curtly, regaining her composure. "You are dismissed, Mr. Yokog. Use your time wisely." I rose from the chair, nerves still jangling, but before I reached the door, her voice stopped me once more. "Percy," she said, her voice dropping to an almost gentle tone. I turned back slowly. "Yes?" Her eyes held mine, unyielding yet oddly reassuring. "Do not disappoint me." I nodded firmly and exited the office, my heart racing. As the door shut behind me, the oppressive weight of her words lingered. I knew without a doubt that my life at Mystic High had just become infinitely more complicated. Chapter 5: Shadows in the Classroom. By the time I stumbled into homeroom, class was already underway, buzzing with energy I wasn't ready for. My late arrival wasn't exactly subtle. The door creaked loudly as I pushed it open, and a few students glanced my way. Most lost interest just as quickly, but a few monsters seated near the back watched me with unreadable expressions. Some looked curious, others stared with an edge of hunger, like they were wondering how I'd taste with breakfast. The room itself was an uncanny blend of familiarity and wrongness. On the surface, it had all the markings of a typical classroom: neatly arranged desks, fluorescent lights humming above, and a teacher scribbling notes on the board. But then there were the details. The thick, dark curtains that let in barely any light. The metallic tang in the air, sharp and strange. The glowing sigils etched faintly into the corners of the walls, pulsing in rhythm with something I couldn't hear. "Ah, you must be Percy," the teacher said without turning. His voice was smooth, calm, eerily detached. "Take a seat." I glanced at the name written on the board. Mr. Lucian. He didn't look at me, didn't acknowledge my presence beyond those 3 words. His fiery orange hair shimmered under the flickering lights, streaked with gold like burning embers. He stood with the kind of relaxed posture that hinted at total control, like nothing in the room or the world could surprise him. Trying to act casual, I made my way to a desk near the center of the room, doing my best to ignore the way several students' eyes followed me. Their stares weren't openly hostile, just observant, like they were sizing me up. "Hey, newbie?" I looked up and saw Jason lounging a few desks away, smirking as if this was all perfectly normal. His hair was even messier than earlier, like gravity didn't apply to it. He gave me a mock salute with his pencil, and went back to doodling in a notebook. Across the room, Morgan sat near the window. Her long black hair framed her pale face, and her crimson eyes were locked on a textbook, though I quickly realized it was a cover for something else. Hidden behind it was a manga, its pages filled with overly romantic drawings of a human and vampire sharing dramatic stares and whispered promises. She didn't even blink at my entrance. Whatever world she was lost in, it clearly took priority. I sat down and tried to tune into Mr. Lucian's lecture, something about magical convergence zones and ley line distortion theory. His monotone voice could probably lull a thunderstorm to sleep. 5 minutes passed before the door creaked open again. The shift was immediate, whispers cut off, pens stilled. Even Mr. Lucian paused, just for a fraction of a second. He stepped into the room like a shadow slipping into place. His presence was crushing, calm and composed but suffocating all the same. He walked with unhurried grace, and with each step the air grew heavier. The faint scent of blood accompanied him. Not strong or fresh, but stale, metallic, like it clung to his clothes as a permanent reminder of what he'd done. His uniform was crisp, deep crimson and navy with gold accents that shimmered faintly under the dim lights. Every detail about him was sharp, deliberate, but it was his eyes that truly froze me in place, burning embers in a dying fire, yet impossibly cold. Deadly cold. Students wearing those same jagged symbol crests straightened immediately. It wasn't fear, it was reverence. They didn't look at him, they presented themselves to him. A silent, unspoken submission, and he didn't even glance their way. His eyes swept the room, disinterested, until they landed on me. He stopped. I couldn't breathe. His gaze pinned me in place, not with hatred or interest, but like I was an object he hadn't expected to find and wasn't sure whether to keep or destroy. "Who's that?" I whispered to Jason, my throat dry. Jason didn't look up, his grin tightened slightly. "Someone you really don't want to mess with," he murmured. "Ever." The stranger moved to an empty seat in the back. No one dared sit near him. The aura around him was oppressive, an ocean of violence held barely in check. I had no doubt that he'd taken lives, many, and he didn't feel guilty about it. He didn't feel anything. Mr. Lucian continued his lecture as though nothing had happened, though even his voice seemed a touch more cautious now. And then there was Morgan, still sitting by the window, still reading. She didn't look up, didn't shift. She simply turned the page of her manga, completely unfazed. Her disinterest in him stood out more than anything else in the room. I forced myself to look away, heart pounding. My hand gripped my pen so tightly it creaked. The rest of the class blurred into white noise, drowned out by the cold knot of fear twisting in my chest. For the rest of the period, no one spoke. No one moved unnecessarily. The silence wasn't enforced. It was absorbed, like the very air feared breaking it. Thank you so much for listening to the first 5 chapters of my book. It truly means the world to me that you've taken the time to experience something I've been carrying in my heart and mind for the past 14 years. What began as an idea has finally been brought to life, and sharing it with you is a dream come true. If you've made it this far and enjoyed the journey, I'd love for you to like and subscribe. It really helps more than you know. And if you'd like to dive deeper and read the book for yourself, I'll be posting a link below. Your support keeps this story alive, and I can't thank you enough for being part of it.
The fire burns deep in our hearts. Through shadows and light, we'll rise again, breaking the chains of fear within. Together we'll fight, our strength untamed, bound by the scars, we'll bear the flame. The stars will guide our way. We'll find the break of day. Voices of doubt, they call my name, but bonds we forge will never wane. Through the storm we learn to fly, silver wings slicing through the sky. When the road feels steep and broken, and the light is a distant gleam, we'll hold on tight to what we've chosen. A fragile hope becomes a dream. Through shadows and light, we'll rise again, breaking the chains of fear within. Together we'll fight, our strength untamed, bound by the scars, we'll bear the flame. Oh, oh, oh. The stars will guide our way. Oh, oh. We'll find the break of day. Falling will rise through tears and pain. The echoes call, but will remain. The light of the past, it pulls us near. Through every shadow, we conquer fear. Through shadows and light, we'll rise as one. Battles we fought, the war's begun. Together we'll fight, our bond reclaimed. The fire we sparked will never wane. The stars will guide our way. We'll find the break of day. The dawn is near, the darkness fades. With every step our path is made. Through shadows and light, we'll rise again. Our story begins where hope remains.